Does the impact of House Bill 787 apply to all boroughs in the state, regardless of their status of home rule?
Yes.
Thank you. Madam Speaker, I'm a bit confused because the co-sponsor memo for this bill actually states that the bill would raise the population threshold in the statute from 3,000 to 5,000, but I'm not seeing any such language in the bill itself. Is there something else within the statute that kicks in to make that threshold 5,000 rather than 3,000?
So originally this bill was to raise the cap, which is currently the law right now. It was upon the recommendation of the majority leader during last session and by unanimous vote in the committee last session and this session that we removed that cap and uncapped it to open it up to all boroughs rather than basing it on population size.
So I'm just presuming then that the old co-sponsor memo was used. That's fine. One more question, Madam Speaker. In the 38th district in Allegheny County, there appears to be one borough, Harrisburg, that actually currently qualifies under this exception. Can you tell me, does Harrisburg actually have any elected officials who are employed by the borough?
It's Harrisburg, and that is the homeland of former Representative Bill Courts, so you better be careful, Mr. Diamond, or you might be getting an angry phone call from Mr. Courts after this debate. Harrisburg is not the impetus for this borough. There was previously a number of boroughs that I represented under the former legislative maps that this situation applies to that are no longer in my legislative district. And actually, former Representative Courts started this bill in the last few months of his tenure in this House, which then we've now carried forward.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The former representative is a good friend of mine. I expect he'll be texting me soon.
Your phone's probably buzzing right now, Representative.
On the bill, Madam Speaker.
On the bill, the gentleman may proceed.
Madam Speaker, I do take a bit of exception to the co-sponsor memo not actually qualifying what this bill actually does. And let's talk about what this bill actually does. It allows any borough in this state to have one of their elected officials serve as an employee of the borough. Now, yesterday, Madam Speaker, my good friend from York County offered on a late filed amendment to actually include some ethics provisions that would make sure that that person, as an elected official and an employee, would have to recuse themselves from any votes on salary, benefits, that sort of thing. But that was not taken up. But even if that were in place, Madam Speaker, I find this bill to be problematic, because we're talking about every single borough in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. I find it hard to believe that there are a lack of bodies to fill these elected positions in these boroughs, including the borough of State College in Center County, which has 42,034 people. The borough of Norristown in Montgomery County, which has 34,324 people. The borough of Bethel Park in Allegheny County, which has 32,313 people. Monroeville in Allegheny County, 28,000 people. Plum in Allegheny County, 27,000 people. Baldwin in Allegheny County and the 38th District, which has 21,000 people. West Mifflin in Allegheny County and the 38th District, which has 19,000 people. And Whitehall in Allegheny County, which has 26,000 people. Tell me again that you can't find someone who is not employed by those boroughs to fill an elected position in those boroughs. I mean, imagine, Madam Speaker, let's take the largest borough I just talked about, State College, which is under home rule. They have 7 council members and a mayor. If you're an employee of State College and you want to run for one of those borough council seats, and you continue in that position, and you're interested in getting a raise as an employee, all you need to do is talk to 3 friends on borough council, which, by the way, you don't have to sunshine that because you can talk to them individually and convince them individually. So three of your friends that serve with you on borough council can now give you a raise or give you more benefits or give you a better hours package. Madam Speaker, that's a conflict of interest that goes against the very fundamental checks and balances of the democracy we live in. Madam Speaker, just yesterday, we swore in 2 members to this chamber. One of those members took the step when she declared herself to be a candidate for that office of taking a leave of absence from her job as a congressional staffer. Now, in my mind, Madam Speaker, a congressional staffer has nothing to do with what we do here, and there's no real conflict of interest, but either by rule or by law or by volunteerism, she took a leave of absence. If we have a staffer here in the House who wants to run for a House seat, they take a leave of absence to become the candidate for that office. But here at the local level, this bill will allow that conflict of interest to continue. Madam Speaker, this is not good government. And I'm not saying anybody who would be in this position is a bad actor, but you're certainly allowing for that to happen down the road. I get it for boroughs that have less than 3,000 people. There may be difficulty finding people to work for the borough. But in a borough of 42,000 people, Madam Speaker, there's got to be somebody else who can fill that elected position and not have a conflict of interest, which is possible under this bill. Madam Speaker, House Bill 787 is not good government. It is an open door to potential bad government in the future, where conflict of interest will be seen. Conflicts of interest that we don't allow here on this level of government, that we don't allow on the federal level of government, and we should never allow in our local government. Madam Speaker, again, the foundation of our functioning democracy is a series of checks and balances where somebody in the position of power cannot enrich themselves. This would be the ultimate patronage position. Madam Speaker, I ask my colleagues to consider this bill seriously and to vote no on House Bill 787. If this were, in fact, as promised in the co-sponsor memo, an escalation of that threshold from 3,000 people to 5,000 people, I think that would be something reasonable that we can consider. But now you're talking about boroughs that have as many as 40,000 people, allowing this to happen there. Madam Speaker, I ask for a no vote on House Bill 787 for the sake of good government. Thank you, Madam Speaker.